Okay, welcome everyone to the archive workgroup meeting. The meeting issue we have up on the screen at the moment is blank, but I'll read you the text that we normally have there, the welcome text. So SingularityNET Archive contains a history of the activities of the SingularityNET Ambassador Program, and all content is provided under an open source Apache 2 license, and contributions are also licensed under Creative Commons license. We do video recording of the meeting so everyone knows. And our goal is to provide a collaborative platform for the SNet archive community, share knowledge, ideas, and best practices. And we welcome contributions from anyone interested in SingularityNET, whether it's a new project, code example, or documentation, subject to budget limitations. Our process is to review action decision items, which I'll just go through in a minute, and then we'll go back to the board and do a kind of sort of stand up, sort of go through issues that are outstanding. So do you want to open the action and decision items now, Benny?
Yep, I will do. Okay, so let's have a little look. I've added the GitHub issue for this meeting and just going through decisions from last time. We agreed to submit fund requests for all the Q2 tasks in June, and we did. And we also agreed we wouldn't submit any pending tasks for Q1 because that was calculated at a higher exchange rate. So we haven't done that. So they're still pending, basically waiting to be paid. We talked about Andre's tool development in May and June and talked about categorizing what different types of corrections are made to meeting summaries. And I added a list in the June tool development issue, so that's done. And we talked about how in June, Stephen's focus will be, or now was, about developing rule-based auditing, and we've got some updates on that, obviously, in this meeting. And we also said that this work is what the work group is going to focus on in Q3. It might draw on some ideas from the proposal that the archives team submitted to the BGI Nexus funding round way back in March. And there's a link there to that if anyone's interested in what we did. But obviously, that was a much higher budget than we've got in the work group, but we might just draw on some of those things. And I think the main point is that this is like the core focus, whereas our core focus used to be much more on archives maintenance and, tool management and stuff. It feels like this is where we're moving towards, is this kind of rule-based auditing and graph approaches. We closed the tag taxonomy issue from a while back, and Andre will be using the tags we defined in Q4 when he restarts work on the summary tool. And we noted that in the monthly archives Gitbook issues, so far Q2 summaries are being submitted without any chasing, and that has continued, even though I've still got a few to add to the archives from the tail end of June. And we've also got some for this month, obviously. But we noted that there are fewer meetings happening in general since most work groups have moved to meeting once a month. God, once a quarter, that'd be fun. And, meetings are happening and they're generally getting summarised. So, yeah, some cancelled meetings are still on the calendar, and that I think is still the case. So we do need to kind of chivvy people to tidy up a little bit. Right, now action items. This has been pending for a while. I approached Deep Funding to ask if the events circle could take on documentation of DF Town Hall, and they were up for it. And they've identified one person who is interested and who would like to learn how to use the summary tool, but because they're busy with other stuff, it's kind of lapsed a little bit. So I just need to chase them really. And yeah, I did make that list of the different types of corrections that get made to meeting summaries. So the link is there, and it's also in Andre's issue. But yeah, that's about it. So I'll go back to the board. And let's see. I think really like what we said about what our focus is. Most of these issues we probably don't need to say an awful lot about. I will
No.
say something really briefly about this policy. I started it and I haven't really had much chance in June to do much with it. So it's still pending and the doc is there and is open for comments if people have any, but I'm just going to try and get to that. Probably not this week, but next. And the archives Gitbook issues, I am basically still behind with town halls. So I'm just going to try and race through those in the next week or so.
Okay.
Um,
That
yeah,
covers all the archive stuff.
that covers that.
Uh,
It
do
does.
do you want
I mean,
to mention the budget issue, or have we covered that? I noticed that I'm just looking at the open issues, and we have just the against your name. We just have Workgroup sync calls, archive staff, and the
yeah.
budget. All right.
Yeah, I mean, the Q2 budget issue, I think we can actually close because we just left it open
Right.
because there were some issues with what we were costing and what we were. So I'm gonna move that to done, and there's no cost against it, so it doesn't have any cost implications. And just really, really briefly, I will mention the workgroup sync call. The next one is the tail end of this month, and just ask if there's anything from this work group that we want to raise. And I think it's basically about can people tidy up their meetings on the calendar? That's literally it.
Okay. Does that cover, do you think, most of your issues, Fanny?
Yeah, there we go. Whoops. I've lost the ability to type today, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know, do we want to look at we kind of said we'd look at any new names to add. Is there anybody who
Oh,
we haven't got? I'm just looking at who's here
All right.
today,
Okay.
actually. Um,
We
I mean,
have
I think Alfred, you're already in the control vocab. Rems. Yes, we need to add you. So what I'll do is let's just open up the document. This is where we log archive names. And I'm afraid things are going very slow for me today, so maybe we need to do that after the meeting. But I
okay.
think that is the main person that we need to add. So I'll update that immediately after this meeting.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum. So it's all Gitbook. Right. And the current budget, yeah,
Yeah.
we could just say
Is
it
that
was
just a
approved.
placeholder, or okay? So it's
Um,
there as a kind of record.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No separate issues to add to the board. So, because like we said, most of our money is going to issues that you create month by month. So we can actually close this now.
Cool. So we have,
All done.
if that's done, then we have one issue open for Andre, and then the rest of for me. So you go to Andre, I think this from the tool development for
Yeah.
June. I left that. I left that open. Just want to talk about that briefly.
yeah. Yeah, as you noticed, the meeting issue was blank. So I updated the automation.
Yeah.
But
Right.
we just need to, I don't know if I just need to check. I think I'll just add one of the previous meetings text back into
Yeah.
in this one.
Yeah.
And
I kind
then
of
I
just
think when Yeah.
No, sorry, I
Because
think
I
we've
think
got
if the action will take this issue, yeah, and it will just copy it. So whatever we put in this issue, or in the project management issue, will carry over to the next month. But it is working. I saw it created the issue. The only thing still that doesn't work is it's unable to move it to in progress. So I still have to do that manually.
That's fine. I just in the past 5 minutes I pasted the standard text into the project management issue. So that should copy that text now into, should it? Into August?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then as you say,
So
then we have it as normal for changing it. I'll just have to check that it's in progress.
in progress. That's it, yeah. So August, well, definitely check in August, see if it did it correctly, and if something didn't happen, I'll fix that.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I did that, and then there was a bug with the working docs Vanny showed in the previous meeting. I fixed that bug. I hope it's fixed. I haven't had anyone say anything, so hopefully it's fixed.
Seems to be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was that bug where when Vanny archived stuff, it didn't show up in the Gitbook, but it was a small mistake somewhere that I also fixed. It was just a link bad URL, I suppose, but it's fixed.
So I guess we can close this issue then, can we?
Yes, yeah.
And should it have an unpaid tag on it? Oh, it's paid. Of course, we did all the June issues, didn't we? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's closed. And then where is LLM development? Right.
Okay. So that's the last one for me. Okay, I'll just open it on. I'm on an iPad, so I'm trying to zoom in somewhere. Okay, so in our last update in June, we discussed if we scroll down to rule-based auditing, which we're going to move on to do. And then I gave some thought about, well, how are we going to approach that? How are we going to achieve that on a limited budget? And how can we make it more, well, so it's not just me doing it, basically. So there's some engagement on it. So what I've done is, well, first of all, you scroll down below that to, well, you've done that, all right, so I transferred the development repo where I was doing development on the graph, originally intended to get more broader funding, which from deep funding, which didn't come through, unfortunately. But we still have a resource there, which is usable. So I transferred that repo from QA DAO organization to SingularityNET graph and renamed that graph development. And we use that resource. Do you want to open that repo up briefly? One link here. So this has basically all the elements of a basic work I did in preparation to set up a graph database, and also there's some instructions and things in there. There's also, if you click on the wiki link at the top of the repo, Fanny.
Sorry, where am I looking?
Right at the top on where it says wiki.
Right, I can't see it.
Yeah, biosecurity actions projects wiki, that kind of thing. So code issues pull requests. There you go. Yeah. So there's a kind of a wiki, our base framework wiki that I've already set up, which describes in quite a generic way how we set things up for a graph knowledge base and basic stages for how we do things like setting up a data model, doing structure analysis, and so on. Well, a schema overview, and then some base high level analysis, like looking at node degrees, which means like proximity of nodes and edges to things. and then relationships and visualization and so on. So that will form the basis for, if we go back to the issue now, thanks, Annie. That'll form the basis for what we're going to work on. So also it's for housekeeping, so I've got some to do here. So it's currently called L&M development. So the issue, and I think thinking that's a bit misleading. There may be some elements of L&M, but we're fundamentally, I suggest we can change it to graph development from now on, and that's more accurate of the kind of work we're doing. As I say, because we're primarily going to build a structure, take our data in the archive, which Andre, you provided exports of data that we can use, and then we're going to translate those into a graph schema. What I'm going to do is to work with, in the first instance, with Vanny. Vanny's volunteered, thank you, Vanny, to, as a kind of guinea pig, to take through each step of how to set up a graph data using our data, and to do that step by step in little bite-sized pieces, and then record it in like 10 to 15 minute videos. So the first one will be setting up a Neo4j account, or installing that locally, importing in data, and that'll be the first one. And then the second one will be looking at the data and looking at the graph relationships with data and so on. That is better than just me doing it myself, because I can quite easily just do that myself. This is much more didactic. So this will and also allow Vanny in the medium term to manipulate the graph data herself, and also to provide some educational materials so anyone else can do that as well. So I want to mention this at the next ambassador town hall, probably, that say that's what we're doing, to sort of highlight that the repo is now in our domain. It's now in the ambassador, Singularity ambassador domain, if you like, and also would like to see candidates. Again, there's a funding issue here, so candidates for a demonstration workshop, possibly from so organize a workshop in, I've got my notes wrong, organize a workshop in Q3 sometime. So the first thing we do is I'll do some training with Vanny, and we'll go through setting up data, manipulating the data, and then organize a workshop in Q3, and get maybe what came to mind was the AI sandbox or think tank to host that, to kind of say to people, look, here's our data, so that hopefully people can play with it themselves. That's the idea. So I want to sort of mention this intention at the next ambassador, and then post town hall, and sort of post that in Discord as well. So you're happy to get involved with that, Vanny, yeah?
I love the way you're asking me in case you've actually held me hostage and made me say yes.
Yeah, we'll obviously have a limited budget. We're trying to think how best. I welcome anyone's suggestions to people that are here, but or anyone wants to post in chat as well. But the basic idea is, we are a community, and we've built up this data resource through a lot of hard work from Vanny and Andre and participants in the ambassador program, and it makes sense for those participants to focus on enabling those participants to manipulate the data themselves. So I'm going to start with Vanny because Vanny is very familiar with the data and has done a lot of updating on the archive, and then just do a series of basically do what we're going to do, which is, well, if we go scroll up a little bit, Vanny, to where it says the rule-based auditing. Yeah. So first of all, there'll be like, in preparation for that, we'll be setting things up. So the first meeting will be like, how do you set up a graph database? And there's two ways you can do that. You can do that using like free online tools, or you can install it locally. We'll couple that and record that. And then we'll say, how do you take a data set? And these are the kind of data sets that you've produced, Andre, haven't you, from your data dumps? And we'd be exactly. So we'd be taking samples of that and importing that into a graph. Okay, and that's a kind of so we try and make that as simple as possible so that anyone within reason can do that. And that's why once we've done that, we kind of can take that to another ambassador work group, or we can we'll do recordings of that, so it's become more accessible to people. Then we can get onto the rule-based auditing. Then it would be like, once we're at that stage, we say, okay, we have the data. Because the other thing is, when we were looking at AI, well, I know we've been looking at AI ethics in different directions, haven't we, Banny? But there is an element to AI ethics where there's a requirement for people who produce the data to be involved in the analysis and the production of data in an AI context. So the idea is also to go down that lane. So anyone who's doing rule-based auditing should be involved in the creation of the data. So that's why also Banny's involved there as well. So is there any questions or observations from any people?
I'm just wondering, is there anybody here from Think Tank who might be able to say whether you'd be interested in the sort of hosting the idea that we have of a kind of bit of a workshop where people can have a go? I'm just taking a little note of who is actually here for documentation purposes, but anyone? If
Okay,
not,
well,
I'll ping Vanessa or
yeah.
whoever, or
I mean, this is why also I mentioned, you probably might agree, Peter, that I mentioned this at an upcoming ambassador town hall. Basically, the intention to say that this resource will starting to build and to engage people in data analysis, hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah, makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. So your support would be great, and I'll try. Obviously, we have very limited budget, but we still will try and do. So we keep it very simple, okay? But basically, and also it's something good for us in the ambassador program. We can say, look, we've created all this data, and we're going to try and analyze it through a graph system ourselves. Simple. It's very simple, but I think it's a good thing, and that's what I'll be announcing.
Yeah, for sure. No, but that's perfectly fine. I mean, it does make me think in the background about Quello, which is a product that has been, launch date has been postponed quite a couple of times. It originally would have been out by now. I'm also quite interested in how this will relate to that, but it's a bit shitty right now that it's not live. So
I mean,
as I understand it, Peter, Quello works on documents, doesn't it? Mainly.
Yeah, it's feeding documents and then building a graph out of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so it could dovetail really nicely because I mean we're kind of looking more at the Gitbook content as our source, but I don't think that makes a great deal of difference in terms of how it works. So I wonder if we should be in touch with whoever's working on that and try and sort of share ideas or something. I don't know.
Yeah, would be good. I am running late right now, so I do have to hop, but please contact me about this and we can I can try and make that connection happen.
No, sure. I know you've got to go, Peter. So, but that's much appreciated. And I'll try and come to a town hall and talk about this a little bit as well to get because there's real opportunities for engagement here and also use of a resource that we built up over a few years now. So
yes,
that's
absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, and as you say, there's a lot of cross fertilizer and trying to so yeah, I'll come to the next town hall and also I suppose we need. Do you want to approach AI Sandbox, Vanny, or should I? Or
no, I can ping Kizzy or Vasu and ask if they're interested.
Yeah,
because it just feels like, you know, they've got an existing group of people who might be interested. Yeah. So
yeah, because really, but that won't come straight away. That'll come maybe in about a month or two, because the first thing to do would be to build up some sort of resource between you and me, Vanny, and then we can present that hopefully at an AI Sandbox, and then really what we want to do is get people to do it themselves, basically. You know, but we're not there yet. But that's the idea. So people can install a graph database locally, or they can use one of the online graph databases or any tools. So they understand the graph paradigm, and they can take some data, and that's what we want people to do, is use our data. So our data is open source. It's in specific locations on our repositories. So we're going to show how to take that data and how to put it into a graph form. That's the first step. And then secondly, then how to do analysis on that. And that leads on to more high-level stuff, if you like LLMs and so on. But we're not there yet. Really want to focus on nuts and bolts to get people to using AI tools, even if it's a very basic. I mean, basic. It's important. It's important to understand the relationships between the data, how you're modeling data for AI, and having ownership of that is that's really what I'm trying to stress here. It's always been part of our. I'm going a bit of a lecture here, but it's all been a part of our archive work group of trying to include people in. So we've encouraged people. Well, Vanny and Andre have, particularly over the past few years, have encouraged people to update meeting records and put all that work in themselves. So the next step is we want those people who hopefully, or to enable those people to be able to manipulate or to understand how that data can be manipulated in a graph format, so they know how it can be used and hopefully become involved in how it can be used for AI tools. So I'll stop there. So as I say, is there any questions? I'll post. Do you think I should post something in the archive workgroup Discord, shouldn't I, Vanny, as well? Probably.
Yeah, I think just to say that repo or that material is now moved to the SNet repo.
Yeah.
So and give a link so people can have a look if they want to.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, looking at the board, it looks like that is pretty much it for this meeting. I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
That we've got open. I'm just checking because I'm not that good with this view. I kind of
I can switch. We can switch. Yeah, I think we have now. Yeah, because there's a lot of. So that's it, and I suppose the rest of our work, as I say, is to stabilize the kind of updating work you've been doing on archive and just. I mean, you've already created the data dump and keeping maintenance on the tool, Andre. So that's already in place. So we're quite well positioned now to move to a new phase, basically. And also, that's another thing, is to shift our thinking a bit, maybe to see. So we've got to say, look, we've built this, like the tool you built, Andre. We've created this data. Now we want to use it in using graphs, basically. So any future funding, maybe we can direct that and also resource that, hopefully. I know we don't have resources now, but maybe we can find resources in the future. So yeah, so on that point, we probably should I conclude the meeting, Vanny? Or
I think so. I think we've covered it, unless anyone's got any questions. I've just posted in the chat a link to that draft doc that I started on open source and AI ethics in record keeping. So please do have a look. And if you've got any comments, please comment away.
Yeah.
But if anybody's got anything they want to say or contribute, you can always post in the Discord channel as well in between meetings. But our next one is the first Wednesday of August, which will be the 6th of August.
Okay. Well, I'll try and encapsulate everything I sort of said there in the Discord post and come to a town hall and sort of explain it there as well. So I thank you for everyone. Should we stop the recording now, Vanny?
Yeah, we'll do. Let me just find it.